Good afternoon, everybody. How are we doing today? That well, huh? Machinima is the most notorious purveyor and cultivator of fandom and gamer culture. These two twin psychographics, fandom and video gaming, are the twin passion points through which we engage and entertain our global millennial audience. You see, we are the first many-to-many programming service, aggregating original content from thousands of programmers, including our own programming, and curating and delivering that content across multiple video platforms to hundreds of millions of millennial viewers globally. Each month, our viewers watch over 3.8 billion video views for nearly 20 billion minutes. That's over 38,000 years of viewership every month. And 60% of that viewership happens on a mobile device. That's what enables our audience to maximize the power of social, to engage through likes, comments, shares, tweets, posts, and pretty much anything else you can think of. Let's think about that for a second. 3.8 billion views. It's a lot of views. And these views are coming from all over the globe, from different nations across all borders, because now we truly live in a borderless world. Youth culture entertainment used to be driven by television. And back then, TV content was created for, distributed to, and mostly consumed by the nation in which it was produced. In fact, that's still pretty much the way it is in TV, and that's principally the reason that we're all here at MIP. MIP provides the market through which TV content produced in one country reaches audiences in all other countries. See, without MIP, TV content would be a lot less accessible to viewers outside the home country of origination. But today, video content doesn't like to be cooped up. And because of online and OTT distribution, it isn't. Machinima's content is truly borderless. It's easily accessed and viewed by anyone with an internet connection. And instead of video content finding a home in a specific market, it's finding audience by topic and by language. This accessibility, this frictionless global distribution creates unlimited programming opportunities and vast audience reach. It's something that traditional TV just can only dream of. For example, let's look at two of the top millennial-focused TV networks in the US, MTV and Comedy Central. While they're huge in the US, they pale in comparison to Machinima's overseas reach. Why? Well, first, it's because Machinima's content moves frictionlessly through the ether. We have superior search and content discovery and global distribution at the push of a button. But also, Machinima content has the equivalent of a global entry pass for everywhere. And it also goes back to the idea of being a many-to-many programming service. See, that's the magic behind Machinima. We connect with local audiences through our local pool of talent. We have creators producing content in 109 countries. It's a local content factory on a global scale. In fact, only 40% of Machinima's views are coming from the country in which it was created. So most views are happening by crossing borders. And more than 80% of those views cross borders to countries with predominantly same language. Now, that's probably not very surprising. But why is that happening? It's because an influencer who produces content in one country or region naturally resonates not only with the local community, but also with the passionate fans of that content who also speak the same language around the world. For example, in English-speaking countries, 1/3 of our views are from programming produced in the home territory. 1/3. And even the US is not immune to this. 52% of US viewership is produced outside the US. Think about that from a television perspective. That could never happen. Spanish content is similar. 2/3 of the viewership in Spanish-speaking countries is from content that originates outside the viewing country. So we've seen a huge proportion of views coming from countries outside of the originating country, but which share the same language. Now let's look at some individual examples. One of our Minecraft gamers, Formonis, he gets 77% of his views from outside his home country of Portugal. And because Brazilians speak Portuguese, 72% of his global views are from Brazil. Nexus HD creates Grand Theft Auto content and lives in Spain. 81% of his views are from outside of Spain. Frankie on PC in 1080p is from the UK, and 43% of his views come from outside the UK. Now, there are exceptions to this rule. There's some content, and this is in every realm, there's some content in this realm that is so massively appealing on a global scale, so powerful and compelling, that it crosses borders and language barriers. And certain gaming content, in particular, esports and multiplayer online battle arena games, such as League of Legends, fall into this category. A great example of a channel that takes advantage of this is one of our original studio-produced channels, Machinima Realm. Produced in the US in English, nearly 80% of Realm's 41 million monthly views come from non-English speaking countries. So on Machinima, we know there is a tremendous consumption of foreign content. So the question is, how does this impact the creation of that content? How do creators and producers take the location of their viewers into account when they create the content? To talk more about this, I'd like to introduce Daniel TIBBETS, our Chief Content Officer, along with two of our superstar programmers, Shane BURRUSS, the producer of Realm, and GIZZY, creator of the GIZZY GAZZA channel. And before they come out, we're going to show you a little bit about their channels.
Thank you. And thank you, gentlemen, for being here today. Certainly, there could be worse locations to be in to talk about how content consumption is changing. Excuse me?
It's so nice here. It's really nice.
It is very nice here. So thank you for inviting us so that we could come out here, have this conversation, and then spend the rest of the day at the beach, because that's the plan. Let's jump into it. Shane, let's talk a little bit about, why don't you explain to everybody what Machinima Realm is?
Sure. So Realm is the largest MOBA, which is multiplayer online battle arena, community-focused YouTube channel. And mostly it's centered around League of Legends. And the only channel larger in the MOBA space is Riot Games' channel, League of Legends. Their subscriber base is about 3 times higher than ours. But interestingly enough, the Realm channel does double the views per month. So we have a lot of engagement on the Realm channel.
That's great. And GIZZY, you want to talk about the GIZZY GAZZA channel?
Well, I do a lot of gaming, mainly Minecraft, and based in the UK, I've got about 730,000 subscribers. I'm coming up to 100 million total views, and upload like every day, and based in the UK, but I have like a huge American audience.
So talking about the growth, when we actually started talking about being here, GIZZY had about, I would say, 12, 14 million monthly views. And today, you're well over 20, right? Within just a few months, we've seen GIZZY's channel grow, at a pretty good rate. And I'm just curious, and as a lot of creators are out there, working to engage their audience and grow their channels, what are some of the tactics you've used? What are some of the things you've done over the last few months that's driven that success?
Well, there's a lot of, in the Minecraft community, there's a lot of people who just kind of just do the same thing, like just play the same mini game or do just a survival thing. But I wanted to expand that and do something that not a lot of people have done before. And I thought, like, creating stories within Minecraft, like role-playing, making adventures, like each episode is a different adventure that everybody can join me on, and just like, so each episode is always different and unique, and people just seem to enjoy the stories.
So that's an interesting point, and I think one of the things that, certainly from my perspective in looking at Machinima, is there's a lot of content which you call gameplay content, but when you really look at it, it's about storytelling. So when you talk about like role-playing, how are you using Minecraft as a vehicle to do role-playing within the space?
Well, Minecraft is like a sandbox game. It's huge, and I don't even know how many copies it's been sold. It's like millions and millions, like so many. Everybody knows what Minecraft is.
A lot, yeah,
a lot. It's insane. And the fact that it's a sandbox game, you could do anything you want in it. And as a creative person myself, like I love like TV and video. I've studied it for 5 years. I wanted to take advantage of my YouTube stuff with Minecraft and actually study what I've loved, like the films and stuff, and put it in Minecraft.
And for those that don't know the history of Machinima, the name Machinima actually comes from 2 words, machine and cinema. And so what GIZZY is doing is basically using the game engine machine to manipulate it and create your own world and your own stories.
I am Machinima.
You are Machinima. Perfect example of Machinima right here. Shane, well, first off, we should do a quick round of applause because Shane and Machinima Realm is actually about to embark on 1 billion lifetime views, which is a pretty amazing
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, 1 billion. One of the things I wanted to talk about, and again, when you think about Machinima, Machinima's been around for 10 years, and we've seen this great evolution of how the creators continue to tell stories, but also the evolution of content itself. And Machinima Realm actually started as a World of Warcraft channel, and then it moved into Minecraft. And now it's dedicated to everything League of Legends and MOBA. So why that evolution? Why did you go from Minecraft then into League of Legends, and how has that helped the success?
Sure. So all those video views, especially the 1 billion view mark, is a super exciting milestone for us hitting in the next probably a month and a half. And it would not be possible if you're not literally staying ahead of the game. So the Realm franchise, as you mentioned, was created in the fall of 2010 and was dedicated to the MMO genre. Primarily World of Warcraft by Blizzard.
MMO?
Massively online multiplayer. Yeah.
I always like to throw those acronyms out there.
Yeah, MMO. So it's definitely one big one in the gaming space. So as the channel reached more and more people through consistent programming, the audience simply just wanted more. To provide more, the Realm audience expanded to other titles in the RTS, real-time strategy, or the RPG, which is role-playing, genres such as StarCraft, Skyrim, RuneScape, and Fallout. And the first major transition, as you talked about, was from World of Warcraft to Minecraft. And that was very exciting for us. So as Minecraft rapidly grew, so did the channel, reaching new milestones. And the price at the time when Realm transitioned into Minecraft was around $5 to $15. I believe Minecraft now is 20 or 25, something like that.
To buy Minecraft.
To buy it. So when Realm transitioned to Minecraft, it was $5 to $15. And that makes it very accessible on a global scale. When a game is that cheap, it's very easy to get into, which is awesome. So accessibility is key when it comes to creating a large audience from a game developer standpoint, and that helps us a lot on the content side of things. So fast forward to fall of 2013, when Realm transitioned for the second time into the MOBA and League of Legends content area. So from the start, Realm has been in-house hosts, so people working at the office in West Hollywood, as well as working with third-party creators that we are developing and licensing content for the channel. So the decision was then to double down on League of Legends, which opened the floodgates to an entirely new global audience.
May I ask you, did you see, what did you see that made you want to, you started to see the success of League of Legends, or what drove that decision?
We had a few League of Legends series that were just kind of going, because it was in that space, and they were doing extremely well, and they were consistently doing well, and they kept growing consistently, which was awesome. When the channel was probably 75%, 80% Minecraft, and at that time, so fall of 2013, we saw the transition on Realm, that it went from people wanting to see personality content, such as GIZZY, and it was not just, I want to see the top 5 buildings of this month from Minecraft or the coolest mods of this month. It was more wanting to follow storylines and seeing these personalities play out, play with their friends, and that just was not what we could do really with our in-house talent at Realm. And when you're working with third-party creators, basically, why would they go to Realm if they could just go to a channel such as GIZZY's and then just get him and his personality? So we saw that happening through metrics, and we made the transition to League of Legends, which was definitely difficult, but we embraced it, we doubled down on it, and from there it just has been growing really, really well. So I'll continue with this, but anyways, accessibility is really important to us. League of Legends is not an overly demanding game as far as computer power, and coupled with the free-to-play model means users with less resources as far as capital and spending money on games, and you can't just go out and buy a new console every year or something like that. It was very easy for them to adopt the title. So there's a very low barrier to entry for the game, and to see if it was for you was really easy. So League of Legends has amazing depth, consistent updates, a competitive professional gaming scene, and near infinite replayability, which is helpful for content because there's always something to work on or some new champion to show off, something like that. And all these factors help the Realm franchise grow and embrace the biggest games in the world, and making the best content around those games has helped us do what we do.
How many people globally play League of Legends today?
I believe the last metric that Riot put out was between 27 million players daily. I'm guessing it's probably over 30 at this point, but it's the biggest game in the world, no question.
It's great. So really that story shows how, from a programming standpoint, Chad talks about many-to-many, right? Being a programming service within this space. And so from a historical perspective, you guys continually looked at the market, what was working, what was trending, what was hot, and also what the audience would react to. If you weren't going to be personality-based, then you had to be topical-based of what was popular at the time. That's great.
Yeah, and it's just always trying something new and being fearless, basically, and not being comfortable with your content, always trying something new, because if you...
The best thing about YouTube is that, like, if it doesn't work, you don't have to do it again.
Yeah,
It's
the feedback is literally instant, which is both a blessing and a curse, I suppose. But yeah, always trying something new, push yourself, and don't be scared because you can't get that instant feedback, and it's just one video.
So I have to ask you both, in the last panel, one of the comments was that they look at the comments for 30 minutes and then don't again. How do you react to comments? Are you watching them all the time? Do you talk back? Do you have conversations?
So on the Realm channel, we put out a video. We put at least one video per day, if not 2 or 3. So I like to check the comments probably for 24 hours. But after that, it's really hard to just be scrolling through those every day and responding to them. But seeing what your viewers want, because they usually do have some good ideas, and yeah, you will have those people who will try to bring you down and be negative, but you just have to develop thick skin. I mean, that's what it comes down to, at least for us.
I upload every day as well, and when I'm traveling, it's hard to read comments because I'm always so busy. But like when I'm home, it's always nice I try to read every single comment on every video and take some feedback, constructive criticism, see all the really nice comments. Because everybody's just watching, subscribed, and watching the videos because they want to watch you. And so they're all usually really nice comments. It always makes you feel nice. And then sometimes I would respond to certain questions, like, oh, why did you do this in this certain thing? I was like, oh, well, I'd respond to that. So I think what's nice about YouTube is that you can respond to your audience. So you always have that option.
It's what I love about this space, because in TV you go into focus groups, testing, and certainly there's e-studies and a lot of things, but here it's instant. So one of the big themes that we're talking about is how content travels, right? It's borderless today, and GIZZY, one of the interesting statistics is that while you produce your content in the UK, 85% of your views are actually in the US. Right, and so I'm curious, what do you think is driving that? Why are you so popular in the U.S. or more popular in the U.S. as opposed to, say, your total views from the U.K.?
Sure. I think it's because a lot of the games I play are popular in the US more than anywhere else. I think YouTube is pretty huge in the US as well. Not to mention all the people that I work with, because sometimes we can record with each other. Say, for example, if I record with Shane, he's got he works in America and all that, and he's got a big American audience. So if I work with him, then his audience would check my out, and then with me, I would also their audience would check Shane out.
Yeah, the keyword there would be cross-pollination, basically.
So cross-pollination, cross-collaboration, those are some of the words we've heard in this space. What's interesting is actually your channel, like Machinima Realm, and Chad said this, the majority of views are actually seen in non-English speaking countries, right? And that's a pretty unusual statistic there. And it's, I believe, Germany, Brazil, France, Spain, Taiwan. So the question for you is, how do you cater to all those different markets? How do you make sure you have something for everyone?
That's a great way to put it. So League being a global hit, we have a number of curated series that highlight plays made in a number of different languages all across the world. So while one might not understand exactly what's going on in the chat box when the players are talking, a fan of the game will instantly recognize the scenario, what's going on screen as far as the playable champions, as well as the abilities and general tactics. So being a fan of the game, you can just kind of tune in and you understand what's going on for the most part. So you can always appreciate a player's skill or a team you're watching, even if the verbal commentary is foreign to you. So as a comparison for everyone in the crowd, if you're watching a football match, or as we call it in America, soccer, and if that's in a foreign language being commentated, being a fan of the game, you can still appreciate the skill of a player on the pitch or a goal scored. You can still just understand it and appreciate it.
It's great. GIZZY, you brought up collaborations a second ago, and going back to the cross-pollination collaborations, what are some of the favorite ones you've done, and how do you really engage then on those? Like, are you co-developing? How does the co-development process work where you're going to someone and saying, I have an idea for a collaboration? How does that process happen?
I feel like you kind of have to see what is popular at the time and take advantage of it in your own channel. And then you can, like, it's really fun doing like challenges and all that. Like you can set yourself up a challenge, see who's interested in playing, and then you could play with that challenge and see who, like, it's a competition against each other as well. So it's always like a big hype and against each other, and people, like the audience, seem to enjoy it as well. And then it's always cross promotion as well. Like if everybody records with each other, then and everybody uploads it, then everybody like is checking out each other's point of view and like promoting them.
They used to do that a lot in television where one series would go and be on someone else's series to try to cross-pollinate that audience. So it's very similar. You have an example of one of the collaborations you've done.
I do.
And tell us who's in it.
It is the Zombie Unicorn, Will Barlow, Tim, and Jess, a bunch of Minecraft YouTubers. And I just had this idea because I had like warheads. There's these really sour sweets where you eat it, it's just really sour. And I said, okay, so every time that I lose, I'm gonna have a warhead. And so everybody picked on me. But that was smart because everybody who uploads wanted to check out my perspective because I had the warhead. So it's always a good way to bring in more of an audience.
That's great. Can we see that?
I'm gonna have to stick with the one that I picked because I'm sorry for this, man, but never have I ever been to Central London.
Hey!
Is this a game to you? Is this a game to you?
All right, it is a game.
Sadly, your side is not me,
Thanks for
but if you
ruining
change
the
your name.
Okay. Next, Jess, go.
Great. And also, Shane, from what you do, right, and you were talking about this earlier, is you're licensing content from third parties. So very traditional means of programming your channel. You're creating about 1/3 of your content, and then about 2/3 is actually from other people. Who's creating that content? Where's it coming from?
Sure. So, for example, our largest series on Realm is called Random Lull Moments, which is produced by a curator in Germany. We wanted to create a series using a dedicated curator that is sourcing the community for highlights on a daily basis. So you always have the most fresh plays, the best stuff. It's never old. You want to stay topical, which is really important. So to this day, Random Lull Moments is the most popular, most viewed League of Legends series on YouTube, which is awesome. And each episode does between 600,000 to 1 million views, which is great. So it's twice a week. And currently, we have done over 335 episodes so far. So it's quite a lot of content, and it's great because we put out 2 episodes a week, then people will watch that in the playlist, and then it's kind of binge watching, which is awesome. So it's just continued watching through that. We have another great example is a creator in Lithuania that does monthly and weekly series covering plays such as the best pentakills or Baron steals, stuff that happened in the game. So that best of the month is really topical. SEO is really important. And then he also watches all the professional tournaments and kind of sources that for material as far as making sure our viewers stay up to date with what's happening there. And then lastly, we worked with a French animation team which produced the most popular upload we had in 2014 called Beyond the Rift, which is taking 2 League of Legends champions from outside the game to battle one another, and you can see their iconic abilities and sayings. And that reached 1 million views in 51 hours, which is really great for us, and currently has over 3 million total views. And I think we have an example of that we can show.
Yeah, and
show
amazing
soon.
quality. The content that we're getting from creators around the world is high quality. Let's take a look at that.
Surprise! I'm back.
An enemy has been slain.
Yeah, it's an awesome video, and I think it rivals what Riot does with their CGI and animations and all that. So we'd love to do more, and the videos like that are very special. So.
Thank you, guys. Let's get Chad back out here, and we'll finish this up.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. You saw right there the cornerstone of our business, talent. Great talent in front of the camera, behind the camera, producing and programming their channels. Now, we want to turn quickly to another really big facet of the business, one about which everybody here obsesses. In fact, it's probably really the reason we all opened up our expense accounts to come to Cannes, and that's monetization. So in the 1980s, as we all know, in the US, viewership was dominated by broadcast TV. At the time, cable programming looked kind of like this. Right? By 2005, US cable networks outdrew broadcast in primetime viewership. That was 10 years ago today. And today, some of the top programs on all of TV are on cable networks, and cable programming looks like this. So the rise of cable programming's dominance was enabled because of improving economics. And although it took 25 years for cable to outrate broadcast, it took 30 years for US cable networks to book more upfront advertising dollars than their broadcast brethren. So 10 years ago, cable won the Game of Thrones. Well, guess what else happened 10 years ago? Companies like these were born. See, today, we've just completed the first decade of the third wave of television. And already, as you know, social video is delivering TV-sized audiences on a global scale. And like cable before us, we are spending much less to produce today's social video content. So the world of scripted TV today lives mostly in a $3 to $6 million per hour range, and for unscripted, it's 300 to 3 million. Well, I believe that by 2025, many-to-many programming services like Machinima will be producing content at those budget levels. Now, we may not be making hours at a time, but our producers will be, and creators will be working with the top talent both in front of and behind the cameras. But we will only get there as our monetization improves. And one of the biggest factors that drove television monetization was the establishment of multiple windows around television content. And that's exactly what we're starting to see happen in social video as well. So yesterday, Machinima was exclusively distributed on YouTube. Not by design, but because for most of the last decade, YouTube was really the only game in town. Today, we're using Vimeo as a transactional platform, Vessel for subscription platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Xbox, and others for ad-supported viewing, with many more platforms to come. And what we're seeing is the beginnings of these windows around social video. We see these transactional platforms for rental and ownership models. We see subscription platforms from new entrants like Vessel, who are seeking to take share from traditional television, and traditional TV distributors themselves going over the top to launch new services to reach millennial audiences. Of course, at the end of it, there's ad-supported platforms. See, today, Machinima is one of the world's leading content producers. We're producing 32,000 hours of content each month. In 1 month, that's more than 10 times the annual output of unique content on the largest fully distributed cable network in the US. Now, not all the content is produced at the same production value. It ranges from less than $100 a minute to as high as $25,000 a minute. But quality is not necessarily driven by dollars spent, because even something that costs very little can be generating tremendous and millions amounts of views and follows and engagement from their fans. But the key to moving up the production value curve is the evolution of content windowing. And depending on what the content sees, we see multiple windows evolving. We see an exclusive and non-exclusive transactional windows. We see exclusive first windows on subscription platforms, followed by non-exclusive windows across multiple subscription platforms. And finally, we see non-exclusive windows for ad-supported distribution. See, when you're on pace to generate 400,000 hours of content a year, you're basically giving the viewers infinite choice. And in a world of infinite choice, it's the curator who's king. So one of the keys to unlocking these windows and building value for our audiences and for our distributors will be using curation. And that's what we're using as the driving force. Because we may have generated 32,000 hours last month, but the creators who account for 80% of that viewership produce 5,000 of those hours. And we know what language that content was produced in. We know what countries it was watched in. And so through curation, we can distribute differentiated feeds of Machinima to distributors by territory across various windows. And we can do this because our audience cares about our content and engages with us through those twin passion points of fandom and gaming. That's why it works for our distributors as well, because our audience is obsessed with this content, like a cat with a laser pointer. At Machinima, we like to say, that we are the place where heroes rise. Fandom and gamer creators from all over the globe join Machinima to begin their own hero's journey to building an audience and entertaining the planet. And at the beginning of our second decade, we are more excited than ever about the future. We're excited because we have the most amazing fandom and gamer talent, creating the most engaging fandom and gamer content, being viewed by fanboys and fangirls and gamers across a borderless world. And with the rise of windowing and curation, we can match a growing viewership with an increasing ability to monetize. So I guess Gil Scott-Heron was right. The revolution will not be televised because it's happening right here on Machinima. I hope you all enjoy the rest of the market. Thank you for having us.